So I put into practice everything that I had learnt so far about natural healing in an effort to heal myself. This included extensive meditations, affirmations, and I used to immerse myself in nature. So I would take myself for long, solitary treks through countryside, through woods, sometimes taking myself away for several days. And after a while, something happened. All my senses became sharpened, including my sixth sense. I had constant creative outpourings at this time, and I just had to share them. And so EnRichmbs was born. Hello, I'm Mel Pross from EnRichmbs, where you can follow my journey to enrich mind, body and spirit. Now, in my last couple of videos, I told you about the time I had my breakdown, which I call the Watershed. I told you about what happened to me and how it felt, what I did to try and get through that time, which was probably, I would say, the most traumatic and terrifying time of my life. And I also gave you a bit of an insight as to some of the things that actually came out of that period of time, which included one of my creative outpourings was poetry. And so in episode 2 is the Watershed itself, and in episode 3 is one of my poems, which came to me actually like a vision, and I just had to write it down. And when I finished and read it back, that was expressing the watershed. That was it right there. So it's called Lost and Found. It's episode 3 of Mel's journey, and the links to all the videos are in the description below. Okay, so today I'm going to tell you more about what happened next. So I've told you about some of the things, some of the new abilities and experiences that I'd had following this period of healing, and today I'm going to explain a little bit more about those things and what happened next. Now, I'm going to share with you 6 revelations. I've had so many revelations, eureka moments, whatever you want to call them. They're very powerful moments of realization and messages and truth that I have received just in this period of time that I'm going to tell you about now. I had about 6 revelations I'm going to share with you. I'm sure there are more, and I may even think of more as I recite these to you, but they're just woven briefly into today's story, okay, to give you a feel of what happened. So if we go back to the day of that breakdown and the period that followed after, that was a time of intense emotional release. It felt like I'd reached my breaking point, and then I broke, and everything came out. So all the anger, the fear, the sadness, the heartbreak, the loneliness, everything that I had felt that was negative, that was harmful to me, that had built up all throughout my life up to that point, it felt like it was a complete emotional release, and everything was just being let out. It felt like all the masks that I'd built up, that we all do to some extent, so far had just dropped away. I felt like I had no energy. I was stripped of everything that I had been used to. Every attribute that I had, every coping mechanism, survival technique, everything that I had that to me was me up to that point, it was all stripped away. I felt exposed. I was very, very fearful. Something like that had never happened to me before. I'd always felt in control to some extent, in that always looking for a solution, try and make things right, try to make other people feel okay, try to solve problems. So this made me feel completely helpless. I didn't understand what was happening, and it was very, very scary. I didn't want to, in that vulnerability, I didn't want it to spiral into deeper and deeper depression, if you like. I didn't want everything to just go downhill, and either need a lot of help and have further problems resulting from it, or I did not want to try to just carry on like I would before, just carry on and then carry on making, therefore, the same sorts of decisions which were not going to help me. This time, as all the negativity was released, everything that didn't serve me was released, I made a conscious effort to at the same time put in positivity. And that was in the form of admissions. So I would admit to myself, be honest with myself, how I was feeling and what was true for me. So if I felt angry, sad, alone, scared, heartbroken, I would say affirmations just to myself in my head. That is okay to feel fear and anger. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel alone. So affirmations, but also reassurances. So as I was sobbing, for example, feeling, all these natural feelings, of course, that through this period of time, as I was feeling those things, I was reassuring myself that that is okay to feel that. So it's acknowledging and admitting to oneself that one has these feelings, instead of trying to deny them and say, oh no, it's okay, put them aside and just carry on, must be strong, must keep going. Okay, instead of doing that, it's admitting that I have those feelings, acknowledging them and reassuring myself. So where I used to do a lot of reassuring others, which of course is still good to be kind and all those things to other people, at this particular time I felt that I could not give any more and that to others, and all I could do was gently, as I gradually got bits of strength back, I was trying to put that in to help myself. And I in that sorrow, I could feel this was a very key, important time for me, a decision as to how am I going to react to this. Am I going to react in the old way, or am I going to find a new way to deal with this? Because everything was coming out, could not be denied anymore. So what are you going to do? Which way are you going to turn? Which direction is your next journey going to take? So, as I say, I decided that as the negativity was being released, to put positivity in, and just in the form of saying to myself, it's okay, yes, you do feel these things and it's okay. Yes, acceptance, I suppose, of my own feelings and acknowledgement of them. So, on to Revelation 1. And I'm smiling not to take away the seriousness of what happened. I'm smiling because this is the first turning point that happened, because lots of good things have happened since, and that's why I'm keen to take you on this journey to now move into the positive. Okay, so the first revelation that happened was what I would call an energy change. So it was usually in my bedroom, where I would take myself away and just have that time to myself, and however I felt, I would allow that to express. Okay, so the energy, of course, at that time was sad energy in its simplistic form, but over time I started to sense an energy change, a change in the energy around me in the room, and it was, instead of one of sorrow, it was becoming replaced with maybe hope. At the time, it was just a gentle awareness of a shift in energy around me. And instead of a dark energy, or dark in terms of negative sort of sadness and grief and so on, I started to feel or sense love, comfort. And I got this feeling that although I felt one of my feelings was loneliness, I was not alone. That was quite a profound realization at this time, this energy change, that I'm not alone, because it was almost like my innate senses were becoming sharpened, and I could sense energy more, and it felt like a loving, comforting, protective energy around me. This wasn't a scary thing at all. It was just a beautiful sense, and made me feel that I'm not alone. There is something going on here. Okay, so that was the first revelation. The second revelation, after a little while of this, I then realized, now this is amazing to me, all these things are amazing to me, and I hope that you find them intriguing as well. The second revelation was that I learnt that I could affect this change. So instead of at the first stage, I was the recipient, I was receiving vibes or feelings of an atmosphere, if you like, in the room. Revelation 2 was that I could actually change the energy myself by using these positive affirmations that I was doing. So the more I was trying to put in the positive, and I was reassuring myself and I'm using more and more affirmations. You are worthy, you are lovable, you do have good intent, you are a good person. All these affirmations to try and get me through this period of time. After a while, I realized that as I did that, the more I did that I was actually changing the atmosphere in the room. So it wasn't just in terms of within myself. If I telling myself, come on, be happy, cheer up. It wasn't anything like that. It was more just affirmations, just very gentle. But the power of them was incredible for me, because when I did these things, I could feel the energy in the room changing. And then I would feel not just the energy feeling of more of love around me. It's very difficult to explain. I hope I'm explaining it quite well. It felt almost as though not a presence, like a physical presence. There was nothing scary with what I'm about to say, like you see in the movies or anything. It was just this feeling of a loving presence. Okay. And that's how it felt. So I did not feel alone. I felt like I was loved. And this felt like a truth that I knew at some deep level, or have always known at some deep level. But here was a confirmation. It was a moment of, wow, realization. Okay. And so I did this more and more. This continued, not only because I'm continuing this journey of self-healing, but also this was intriguing me, and it was such a big event to feel that I'm actually changing the energy around me, and therefore changing how I feel as well, which all has a knock-on effect, and then that lifts my mood, that encourages me to do more and to be more aware. So I became increasingly aware of all my senses. So the what we call the 5 senses, but also the 6th sense. So that means I became a bit more psychic, if you like. I became more clairvoyant, more clairaudient. So I would have a message, or I would see something and know that something was so, clairvoyant. Or I would receive or hear a message, but it was not a physically hearing voice. It was just a message come to me, or a thought come to me, but it felt almost like someone was whispering in my ear, and I would know that there is a truth. And again, it's not a scary something. It was just something is so, and it felt like an important message. So I would hear something that was a truth, if you like, is the best thing to say. And also my actual feelings of picking up energy in the room. So I feel that as a child I was always empathic. I felt I could feel other people's emotions. I could feel them as my own. This was sharpened as well. So my empathy grew. But also in terms of feeling energy and vibes, I actually started to see auras. So I could, and it all becomes part of the whole. So seeing, hearing, feeling in the physical sense, but this was in the psychic sense now. It's all these elements were coming together as a whole, and they were lifting me. And Revelation 3 was, as these things were happening, remembered that as a child, way back from when earliest time that I could remember, I always had an interest in these sorts of things. I had an interest in who are we, what is life, what is intelligence, what is consciousness. I used to daydream a lot and meditate just naturally as a child growing up, and was drawn to things like that. I was drawn to mystery, the mysteries of the universe and who we are, the mind. I was drawn to that. So my next Revelation 3, was I suddenly started remembering certain things, events or feelings that I had as a child that correlated with this experience now, or these multiple experiences now. And it was a direct link, and it made me feel, this is who I am. I've always had these abilities. They've always been here. This has always been a part of me, but they've been under the surface. I haven't expressed them. They've just been there. And this was a profound realization, because this was a time when I was wondering, I was having to reinvent, who am I? Not reinvent or rediscover, who actually am I, as I'm moving on to the next stage now, and trying to put good things in, but be authentic as well, and rebuild who I am and what my values are, remembering my values from childhood. So this was a profound moment, and I'm getting excited because this is just Revelation 3. We're halfway there. Something else happened. Revelation 4 is, I found my little green book, and nobody else on the planet will know what on earth, what is this green book? Why is it so important? This is huge. And the reason it is huge is I found this little green book, which is just a little spiral bound notebook that I had in my early teens, and I would start writing little notes in them, just like a lot of children would write a diary. This was a very small book, so it's just little notes. I found this book thinking just going to be a few little diary entries, and then as I was flicking through, turning the pages, I found little headings. What is time? What is life? And notes underneath, my own notes underneath. Now this is when I was a teenager. What is time? What is consciousness? And my notes of what I think time is. And a number of questions, to do with what is life? Who are we? Why are we here? All those questions, all those sorts of questions. I had that way back from when I was a child, and I found this little green book with my own philosophies and thoughts about these, topics. I found this book. I've lost this book for years and years and years. I was very upset years ago, but I'd forgotten about it because I had just accepted that this book has gone. It's gone. So it's not only finding this book, which was amazing. I don't know if you've ever found a book or diary that you wrote as a child, and looking back at your writing and your thoughts, it's quite incredible to look back and, wow, that's me as a child. This was even more incredible, the synchronicity of this, of finding this book, just at this powerful moment in my life when I'm having these memories of my abilities and experiences as a child, which are matching and correlating directly with my experiences now during this profound transformational period of my life. Just at that time, I find this little green book, and it really is like, I cannot explain even. It's not like a light bulb going off, it's like a supernova. Okay, and I really was realizing who I am and all these interests that I have, about what is life and the universe and all of these things were totally reawakened. Bam, totally reawakened. And then I did something bold. I took a bold step. Now, I have mentioned before that especially when I was younger, I was quite shy and didn't really I wasn't an extrovert. I didn't go to big events with people and parties and that sort of thing. I was quite shy. I was very good at a one-to-one level or just a couple of people. So even for me, going on my treks in the by myself through countryside, that was a bold step, but it was something that was intrinsically natural in me, that I need to get in, immerse myself in nature. But this one now, this bold step, was me deciding I cannot turn back. Now I've rediscovered all these topics that I love. I love science and spirituality and psychology and philosophy, all these things. I couldn't turn back. And I decided, get into my bold step. My bold step was I'm going to go out into the world and this time meet people. I'm going to go to different events that are of interest to me, and I'm going to start learning. So I've always loved learning and researching all these topics. Okay, I haven't gone to many places around the world or done many things, but I've read and researched and thought and written down my thoughts a lot. So now I thought, this is it. I now have to go out to these events. So the kind of events I would go to would be exhibitions. This is by myself as well. Exhibitions, because of this increased interest in the sound, in the healing that was going on, the natural healing, and the different types of meditations and so on that I was doing. I would go to different events around natural healing, natural therapies, sound healing, chanting events. I really loved that. I play the piano. I started playing the piano again, which I hadn't done for years and years and years. So I was playing the piano. What other events? Oh, talks. I started going to talks. So talks on the cosmos, because I absolutely adore space as well. So talks on the cosmos. I love nature, so I'd go to bird watching, nature reserve walks, that sort of thing. Talks on philosophy and talks about consciousness. All of those things. Talks about anything to do with the mind, how the brain works, dreams. But I went on talks about dreams and states of consciousness, and what is consciousness and what is life. All of these things. I think you get the idea now. But it was a bold step for me because I'm a shy person. So I would get anxiety. And of course, I have mentioned in my previous video of the Watershed, one of the symptoms that I developed after the breakdown was agoraphobia and some anxiety, which I'd never ever had before. So agoraphobia and anxiety together, and now I'm going out to events with total strangers I've never met before. What am I doing? So I started going to so many of these events, and it was wonderful because I would just tell myself to calm, and I'd say, well, you don't ever have to see them again. But of course, once I actually got in, that was the worst bit, just walking into a place where I don't know anybody, I don't know what to expect. Once I got in, the incredible array of people from different backgrounds that I would never met. I've never really had lots of people that I could talk to about philosophy and spirituality and all these things and consciousness. I haven't really had that. So to meet these people with all these incredible, different, diverse backgrounds, different reasons for being interested in that topic, all coming together, and of course the speaker and their work, their research that they're sharing. It was absolutely amazing. And of course, at this point, so many of my own thoughts and philosophies had come back to me, especially since seeing this little green book, especially all these thoughts had come back to me. So I would sometimes have my own question. I think, oh, right, when I go to this, if this turns up, this crops up, this topic, I'm going to ask this question, or I'm going to make this point. I think, right, yes, this is your idea, your thought, you can share it. Come on, Mel, speak up. You may never see these people again, kind of thing. Of course, I'd go and I'd tell myself, go on, Mel, go on, Mel. No, never. I think that's true. I don't think there was one time that I actually mustered up the courage to actually join in and make a comment. And one time I kept telling myself, do it now, Mel, do it now. And they'd go to one person, different person. Then somebody, of course, said a very similar point to the point that I was thinking of. Someone else made that point, and then everybody said, oh yeah, that was a good point, yeah, that's very good, and they all started talking about that, and I thought, Mel, oh. But there we go, it's fine, because again, thinking about it philosophically, I told myself, because I was a bit annoyed with myself, at this point I'm trying to tell myself, come on, I need to break the mold, you need to come out of yourself and actually share who you are. As I discovered who I was, I needed to live more authentically and share and express who I am. And that included meeting new people. It's like, come on. So I was a little bit upset with myself, but then not for long, because I realized after a while that the important thing was this wasn't about me expressing myself. This was a time of receiving. This was a time of confirmations, realizing, yes, these are the areas, the topics and the values and the interests that you are all about. You've done it, you're doing it, you're going out, you're meeting people. And I have to say, absolutely every single person who I've met during this journey has been lovely and kind. Even though most of them I haven't seen. Some talks I've gone back because this topic is so close to my heart. But mostly, apart from, I've met about, 1, 2, 3. I've met up to 5 incredible people, just by going to their workshops or talks, speakers and so on, who I've gone back, where I've gone back to their talks. Or to other people with similar. So that was a time not to express, but to just join in and do that part, okay? To meet new people, and that's it. I'm fine doing that now. This is my life. This is what I enjoy doing now. Going out, and if I see something of interest to myself, I hook in. So this is where I am now. So Revelation 5, here we go. The more I did this, the more I started going out and getting used to meeting new people, and of course, according to the subject matter, it will then trigger ideas and thoughts, and it just led to my abilities being developed even further. It led to even more creative outpourings. So I've actually, for the last few years, to be honest, started writing my big book, which is my major book, which is it starts with the little green book, and I started carrying on writing notes. I carried on, and I am to this day, and it is going to be a big book. Well, actually 5 volumes it will have in this one book, which I'm writing, which is everything to do with my ideas on science, psychology, philosophy, metaphysics, and so on. So that is happening. Other creative writing were the poems, the poetry. So I put them together. That they just kept coming, and they would come maybe in a vision, or they would come at any time actually. So not only did I have a little notebook by the bed, which a lot of people do, so if they have an idea, you write it down, so, or if you have a dream or a message in a dream, you can just write it down quickly. But in addition to that, I actually had to use the Notepad app on my phone, because it could be at literally at anywhere at any time, so at least I could just get my phone out, quickly write down. So that's what I was doing, and that's my book that's in the process of writing. But as I say, also lots of poetry and inspirational messages, and I've put to date those in a book called Hush, which is on Amazon. But I'm still writing poetry, so I've got Hush 2 in the making as well. So what else did I do? So meditation. So because of all the extensive meditations that I did, which started off with, guided meditations that other people have done, but the more in tune I became with my own abilities, I discovered more about what helps me, and all the time I'm listening to my own body and my own awareness being developed, and I utilize that to develop my own and adapt my own meditations, which have helped me. So one of my other projects as part of this journey is to actually start to share with you. So I will be producing some meditations, some of my meditations. There are several themes, and I will be sharing them when I can produce them, put them all together. I will be sharing them with you. So we've got the meditations, we've got the inspirational messages and the poetry. We've got the nature photography. So whenever I would immerse myself in nature, I would really get into the energy. I would try and just cut off from the outside world and just feel nature, just immerse myself literally. But I'd also take photographs. And so I've got a whole load of photographs. And I just have to remind you again that my Facebook page called EnRichmbs, that was set up, and the pages that are part of that to actually upload, because with all these creative outpourings, I needed somewhere to put them and to share. I decided I wanted to share and connect with other people who liked these things. So the links to all my Facebook pages are below. So everything I'm talking about, you will find my poetry, my art, my writings, my photographs. You'll find them on my Facebook pages below if you are interested in that. And so with all these things that would happen, and also the visions, I would just have visions that I would just have to paint. So I've also got loads and loads of what I call intuitive art, because it's literally, this is how I either get a vision, a visual vision, or a message, and I have to paint it. So I've got those as well, and my art is affected by the meditations I'm doing, by the crystal healing that I'm doing. It all influences my art. Music influences my art. I'll be showing you some of my art. I've got a whole series, also a page called The Intuitive Art of Mel Pross on Facebook if you want to see them beforehand. But I will be doing some videos to give you again the story behind some of those, to show you how they were created. So with all this wealth of creative outpourings that I just absolutely had to share, EnRichmbs was born. Okay, and so this is part of that. So the video series is called Mel's Journey, and I would love you to comment, so please get involved. It's not just about listening to me. It's lovely if you are interested in what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for supporting me, and welcome. Also, if you have any ideas or thoughts or experiences of your own, or anything at all about these topics, please do comment below. I would love to hear from you as well. And also, if any of these examples, any of these creative things or visions or meditations that I've talked about, if any of them you are interested in, please do let me know. If you have a preference, if there's something that you would like me to do a video on, please do let me know in the comments and I will do my best. Okay, and my last revelation, I'm just going to finish with my last revelation 6, was everything that I've just told you. Can you imagine the point I'm at now, with everything happening, with all of this happening, and all the events and connections that I'm making, all the synchronicities, the visions, everything. I realized once I set up Facebook with all to share all of these, that was the turning point. So my Facebook page called EnRichmbs was the turning point where I'm now on the road to healing. Okay, so I'm Mel Pross from EnRichmbs. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Sending love. Bye bye.